Hello, hello, pickleball community, pickleball world. Another episode here of First Serve with Des Brown, the original Geechee Gala pickleballer, and my co-host, Coach.
Hey, this is Coach Antonio pulling DAB pickleball straight out of GA, baby.
Hey, I'm excited today. We have a guest with us today, my family, another Geechee girl, a person that has traveled the world, putting this pickleball on the scene, Yolanda. Yo, Monroe.
Hey, everybody. Hi, thanks. I'm glad to be here. Happy holidays.
Awesome. I had the pleasure of meeting Yo-Yo a couple years back. I had a event down in Charleston where we were promoting pickleball for African American and minority communities. And Yo-Yo decided to come down here with one of our friends, Pickleball Harry. I was able to meet her and spend some time with her talking, and also got an opportunity to play some pickleball, which I had a lot of fun that day. It was exciting. To share the court with my sister. It was a lot of trash talking. So before we even get to this interview, I got to tell you a little bit about that story. So, Coach, when we met, before we got to the court and everybody just talking, doing their thing, we had met the night before. So, we in there talking about things that we want to see happen in the future with minority pickleball. And then it got to that competitive talk. And we started talking about each other's games and what's going to transpire the next day when we get in the court. And lo and behold, we got to the court, started playing. She's on fire. I say, listen, she's working my partner, Coach. I talk about killing my partner. So you know me, I say, I got to change the vibe. I got to start talking to her, throw her off the game. I said, look here, all you can do is hit the ball hard. You ain't got no soft shot. It didn't work. All she did is turn that thing up on my partner, killing my partner, talking mess to me after every shot. I said, oh yeah, that's my type of girl right here. So we had a great time down in Charleston, South Carolina, playing some pickleball. And after that, man, we just built a relationship. We've been in touch. We talk, message each other weekly.
Yeah.
Keep each other abreast on what's going on, what we're doing out here in pickleball, and that's how we met. That's our story. So, do you have anything to add to that, Yo-Yo?
Yeah, don't be saying I just hit your partner up with it. I was bringing it to you too. Who you talking to, cuz? I was bringing it to you too. And then when I changed to the soft game, it threw y'all off because y'all was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I had to let her get that out. But the one thing I didn't mention now, Coach, she didn't win. She will leave that part out.
No, we had a good time that day. It was a lot. It was nice. And you know what I liked the most about it? The fact that we were all African Americans on the court. And you don't really get to see too much of that.
Right on.
In pickleball. So I enjoyed it, getting to meet the family and finding out who's who and playing the game and finding out that we actually pickle. We really do pickle.
Right on.
We do pickle. And like she said, it was we tell these jokes in the competitive front about the game, but that weekend was much more than that because, man, we threw a cookout. We had the whole vibe. We had our whole culture vibe. We came out the park. We had the big grill out there. We had the ribs and the chicken and the burgers. So we out there eating and playing pickleball, man. It was a great time. I tell people all the time it was one of my best experiences in pickleball, just being around a lot of people that had a similar interest in a sport or a game that looked like me, man. That was one that I definitely hold close to my heart. So, Yo-Yo, just to kind of get started, man, we done our research. Like I said, I know a lot about you. Coach has been studying some of the things that you've done in your lifetime as it pertains to sports. Prior to getting into pickleball, prior to even getting introduced to pickleball, tell me a little bit about your journey in sports as a youth, high school, wherever.
All right. So growing up in Brooklyn, it wasn't really much to do. You had to create your own fun. So I decided to learn the game of handball. Now, my older sister, she had been playing handball, but whenever I went to the park, I used to always say, wow, that's fascinating. So one day I just got up and I just decided I was just going to take the ball and I was just going to go up the wall and hit against the wall and see if I had the eye-hand coordination to do the sport. And I said, wow, this is great. So every morning I would get up before school and I had to be about maybe I want to say about 10 years old, maybe at the time when I first put the handball in my hand.
Mm.
And I just started going like an hour before I get ready to go to school in the morning, hit up against the wall, come back, go to school, come after school, go back on the wall, hit up again on the ball. When the weekend came, I was always hitting. And I had went one day to the park, and I remember I had said, I want to play this game. And they looked at me and they were like, well, you too little and you don't know it. And I was like, okay, but one day I'm going to come back and I am going to know that game. So with perseverance and practice, I continued to practice till I was about, maybe I'll say about 12. And then I really started feeling it. And so the eye-hand coordination was there. So I continued. And I want to say when I was about 14, I then started going to the park and started playing. And then when I was about 16, they had tournaments around in the area. And I remember that they had tournaments in the area. And I said, okay, I'm just going to join this handball tournament and I'm going to play. And I remember my sister being the handball. She was like phenomenal in handball. Like everybody used to say, oh my gosh, this is phenomenal. I said, yeah, well, I'm going to be better. I'm going to be more phenomenal. So I remember we were playing and I remember that they wouldn't let me play. And I remember taking her out of her championship because I became the champ at the next round of that. And I was untouchable in handball at that point. So I took it a little bit further, started playing in tournaments. My mom was standing at the tournament when we were playing. And I remember that there was a scout there from Nike. It was one of the guys that was, I guess he was affiliated with Nike at the time. And he had asked my mom, I'd like to sponsor her. My mom said, no, really don't want to do that because she's still in high school. I want her to finish high school first. And I was like, okay. So I figured after I got out of high school, came back, got in touch. And then he said, well, listen, I'm going to pick you up under Nike. And then after that, I got sponsored by him through Nike. And then I went like a lot of years and I stayed on top because I was playing every tournament that there could be. It was hard for the girls to move me off the top. I stayed on top for a long time. And I just became like the top female player for many, many years.
Yeah, I saw that. I want to ask you a question about that. We talk a lot about handball and how it started, and you were probably introduced at 9 or 10 years old. Did you gravitate to any other sports during that time? As a youth in high school, it was just handball was your sport?
It was handball. I mean, I ran track and field, but it was handball that gave me the eye-hand coordination. That's the one I dominated. That was the only sport that I dominated.
Right.
Right on.
That was my sport.
Hey, Yo-Yo, let me ask you a question. Like for those that don't know what handball is, could you explain it for in a simple term so that we can kind of understand it?
Sure. So handball is just like racquetball or paddleball, except for you're playing with your hand. What I call the real sport, playing with your hand, not having the paddle in your hand at the time. You have to use every motion in your body, every bone in your body, everything twist and turn, and you have to hit that ball with just right here. Your sweet spot is right here in your hand, right here. This is your sweet spot. And the hand is only but so big. So when I hit the ball, I have to hit it here. Oh, but I was deadly with the backhand. I had a fierce backhand that was crazy. And once you knew I made a cock, when I went back with my arm and I cocked my arm, you knew that ball was flat lining to the wall. It was
hey. So we read that your signature move, is that the yo-yo flat line. Yo-yo, what's the flat line? What's the flat line?
Okay, so you know when you hit a ball and there's no room between the ground and the air. Well, it just comes out flat off the wall. You can't get it up with the shovel. You can't pick that ball up with the shovel. And when I cock back and I flatline that ball, they don't even go for it. It's like no hope, no chance returning that ball.
So you can have a flatline shot with a forehand and a backhand?
Yes, I could hit it from anywhere. And once I cock back, they already knew.
Hey, that's dope. So growing up in Charleston, I've heard of handball. So in elementary school, no one was here playing handball. It was like something like kids in elementary would do with a tennis ball. So we would find a wall and hit the ball off. We didn't know no rules. It's just if I hit the ball and if it's your turn to hit and you miss the ball is my point. So learning the actual game and hearing you talk about like how the game is actually played kind of brings me back to my childhood. But I absolutely loved to play handball. It was fun. And we had no idea of, like I said, the rules, the concepts. It was just hit the ball on the wall. I read that you have all these different shots and I would create shots with my hand, not knowing what I was doing, but I could see how that would be something that you would fall in love with and as a child and gravitate to. And apparently you did really well with it.
Absolutely. So there are rules in handball. So if you're playing singles, everything has to be served on the court. So you can't be off the court when you serve. There's called a short line, and there's called a long line. There's a short line in the front, almost like a kitchen in pickleball, but it's a little bit further back from the wall. And then there's a long line that if all lines are good on the serve except the short line, the ball has to come over the short line to be good. If it hits the long line, if it hits the two side lines, it is good on the serve. If it goes out, it's out. And if you make one short and a long, it's a down. If you make two shorts, it's a down. If you make a short, if you make two longs, it's a down. So you always got two serves in handball, chance to get around. Now, when you're playing doubles, what happens is when I'm serving as a server, I have to be on the court to serve. My partner has to be off the court. So that the ball has to come past the short line, and then they can come in and continue to play. But also, there's also such a thing as blocking, intentional blocking, and you have to get around the person. If I hit a shot and the person and I move at the shot at the last minute, it's called a block. If they call it, some people are good with playing around the blocks. I'm good with playing around the blocks. If you stand still and the ball doesn't hit you and you don't move, it's not a block. So you automatically, if they don't return the ball back, and the ball has to get back to the front wall on one bounce. I mean, without a bounce, it has to hit the front wall without bouncing first.
It seems like another one of these mashup games. Like we talk about pickleball and we say ping pong and tennis and badminton. I had an opportunity once I got into pickleball. Some of my friends are squash players, and what you're talking about describes a lot what I see in squash, having to run around people. You can get blocked from balls and that sort of thing. Hey, that's pretty interesting. With all that being said, you turned out to be a really good player. And what I found out was you were kind of the face, especially for female handball, and was on the front line as far as exposing handball to the United States and making it a more popular sport with the hopes of getting into the Olympics one day. So talk a little bit about that journey.
Okay, so I mean, I played handball for about 38 years. Honestly, about 38 years I played handball. I stayed on top for a very long time. I actually took a hiatus for quite a while because I was getting so much political feedback in handball. Not only just that, it was just that the girls were very, very how do you say without being well, anyway, let's put it this way.
Envious?
The women in handball didn't really want me there, so to speak. Right. And so at one point I just took a hiatus from handball. I didn't stop playing handball, but I didn't go to the tournaments. I wouldn't go to anything that was involved with anything that had to do with events or anything like that. And then sometimes the brackets would be set sometimes in handball. So it would be, okay, let's try to get her out first. So let's put her here with this particular player, try to knock her out the bracket, whatever.
Why do you feel like you experienced that though? What do you think the reason was why the females were envious? As we all know, when you're on top and you're that person and you're at the highest point of the mountain, everybody wants to pull you down. Talk a little bit about your experience and how you felt being a part and knowing that other women or just other players didn't want to see you have the success that you were having.
Well, you know what? Handball was very cliquey, and I wasn't a cliquey person. I was pretty much antisocial in handball. And I usually went to the park by myself, came home by myself from the park. I wouldn't engage in anything that they basically did afterwards. It was just go to the park, you'll come back. And I did everything basically by myself when I went. It was always me by myself. So handball was pretty cliquey. If you didn't fit in or you didn't do the things that they did and you stood out alone, but yet I'm gonna tell you like this, but although I stood out alone, I was bad by myself. So it wasn't like I needed anybody to make me or define me. It was me. And so, you know, a lot of people, when you're on top like that, or put it this way, how about this? How about I look good, I dress good, and I play excellent? So those
look good, feel good, play good.
When it comes to play with women like that, it's like, oh, she thinks she's good. No, I don't think.
Right.
I am good.
I love it.
I like it.
I love it. Yeah. So this brings me to this. Just in the competitive aspect and being one of the top players in the United States in handball, I read that there was a number one female player during that time. That I guess it was just a hurdle for you to overcome. But the more I dug and the more I read about your journey in handball, I did see that you was able to take the number one player out, not one time, but several times. Talk to us a little bit about that journey of having someone that you know is better than you are, has a better record than you are, being recognized as a better player than you, and having to chase that. having to figure out how to accomplish that goal, how to take her off the throne? How was that whole situation?
So when you say that, you're talking about the international handball.
Yeah.
There was no female in the United States.
Right.
I know that's right.
So what happened was when I came back from the hiatus and I met my husband, here's it. So he challenged me one time and he said he played handball. I said, do you play handball or do you play handball? So there's a difference. Okay, you just play. I play. So anyway, he saw me playing. He was like, you know what? You're really, really good. He's like, why don't you go back on competitive playing handball? And I said, I'll try to work my way back in. But I really didn't want to. I was comfortable where I was. But anyway, make a long story short, I got back into it. And then I started going back into tournaments, winning the tournaments. And then I got invited to go on the European tour. Now, at the time, the European tour, when I came over to the European tour, back in the days, I played handball. I played singles. I dominated singles. So I hadn't played singles during the whole time during the hiatus. But when I got invited to go on the European tour, I had got invited to go in Europe. So I took the opportunity to go to Europe and play in the tournaments. The first stop that I believe that we made in there was, I want to say it was maybe Italy, because I remember playing this girl. She was from Holland, and I was from the United States, and we were playing handball, and we were playing singles. And I remember she was the #1 European female handball player at the time. And we played the game, and we came down to the finals. I made it to the finals. She made it to the finals, and she beat me. She beat me like 21-18 or something like that, or 19, something like that. But she beat me. Okay, I went. I shook her hand. I congratulated her. I said, well, she should beat me. I was like 50 at the time, maybe 50-something at the time. She was 21. You ought to beat me. But you only beat me because I hadn't played handball singles in 20 years. So rather than her being humble, what she did was she made this big hoopla, and she wrote everything over social media. I beat the #1. And I said, I'm not the #1 handball female coming back off a hiatus. It was another young lady that was 21 in New York that was the top player. And I said, no, you beat me. I said, but guess what? I said, because you weren't humble. And I came and I shook her hand. I congratulated her and everything. I was fine. I was happy that she won. But because she wasn't humbled, I said, okay, because she had been bragging about how she beat the other girls out in Europe, and the other girls was like, wow, this girl is here. I said, yep. So I told her, I said, the next time, I said, as long as I'm on this European tour, you will never, ever beat me again. And I meant what I said. So the next meeting we had, I believe we were in Spain or maybe France. One of those. It was either Spain or France. We got into the finals. I annihilated her. I humbled her. But let me tell you what she did. She didn't congratulate me. She didn't shake my hand. She walked away and she was in tears. And I said to her, I said, why she didn't come over here and congratulate me? I congratulated her when she beat me. But at that dinner, when we had the dinner, the players' dinner that night, she came over and she said, Yo-Yo, congratulations. You're a great player. I said, you know, the reason why I posted it on Facebook was because you went out on Facebook when you won, bragging about it. So I posted it everywhere. So I told her, I said, you ought to have been humble because, first of all, you're young. You're supposed to be good. I'm glad you're good. But let me tell you, experience over youth. When you bring out something in a beast that has been asleep for years, they will wake that beast. And that's what she did.
And what I find most compelling about the story was they caught you outside of your prime. They were in their prime. You telling me you were 50 years old when they were ranked #1 players in the world or in Europe or wherever they were. You're talking about 21-year-old girls, still athletic, still hungry, right?
And I was in my 50s. Yes.
Wow.
That's pretty dope. It reminds me of Ali and George Foreman. You know what I mean? Like, as you were telling that story, I just thought about that's Ali we listening to right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I told her, I said, you would never win again. And she never won again in singles while I was there on that tour until I got off that tour.
Wow. I know she was happy to see you go.
She was happy. They were all happy to see me go. They were all happy. Not only in Europe, they were happy in the United States to see me go. Except the guys. The guys wasn't happy to see me go.
Yeah. But you know something else amazing, Coach? That we have an opportunity to talk to someone that was the top player at their sport in the world, right? The United States and the world. we don't get the opportunity to talk to people that were the best at what they do. And I'm not just talking about in your community, in your state, in your region. I'm talking about the United States and the world. So again, it's just an honor to hear that story. I knew bits and pieces, so did Coach, but to hear you communicate that journey and things that you had to overcome, that's a heck of a story. And you know what, on another day, on another time, we're going to have another podcast where you could just talk a little bit more about your journey into handball.
Oh,
but
please
with
let
that,
I do that because I'm so through with handball.
yeah, but see, you know what's most important about that is that story needs to be told for little girls that look like you, right? That are going through similar things, and to see someone that looks like them to overcome and to be the best at what they do. You can't take that story to the grave with you. So we love to have the opportunity to tell that story on a different type of platform. But what we also read was, and also understand, is when you're at the top of the game and you've reached the ceiling and there's really nowhere else to go in your sport. You talked about in an article that I read, meeting a lady, and the lady was explaining to you, once you get to a certain point and you feel there's no more that you can do in a particular sport, it's time to find something else. And what I understand is that's when you kind of found pickleball. You felt like you got a little too old for handball. Your body kind of timed out of handball, and you were introduced to pickleball. So talk a little bit about that.
Okay, my body didn't time out because I'm in excellent shape.
Hey, get them correct, yo.
I'm in excellent shape for somebody that's 60. I'm in excellent shape. My body didn't time out. I have no aches and pains. So I got out the game being one of those rare persons that got out the game. So the reason why, so my husband was stationed in Nebraska at the time. We were in Nebraska and we were in the DOD. I remember playing the DOD in Bellevue, and we were playing four-wall handball with the small ball. And I said to Kevin, I said, you know what? I let the guys go ahead inside the handball court, and I sat outside. And this lady was like, she's like, oh, hey. I was like, she said, do you play? I said, yeah. And then I told her, she looked me up and she said, you know what? She said, when you've reached the peak of your sport and you can go no higher, it's time for change. I was like, I looked at her and I was like, wow, those words were powerful. So as they were continuing to play handball, I went into Dick's and I searched around and I said, okay, what sport can I pick up and play right now? And I remember that when I was working at this particular facility, I remember handball, and I remember the owner putting a pickleball court in that facility. But what happened was when the people came in and they were talking about pickleball, and the guy said, why don't you try? I said, nah. I said, I'll stick to handball. No, I'm not trying anything. So that passed. When we went to Nebraska and I thought about it, I was like, wow, I remember hearing that name. So I went to Dick's, picked up the starter pack, came back to the DOD, told my husband, listen, I got these paddles and we're going to play some pickleball. He's like, what's pickleball? I said, well, we're going to play some pickleball. So we went on the tennis courts. When they finished playing handball, I said, let's go on the tennis courts. We get on the tennis courts and we take out the paddles and we take out the balls. We don't know anything about it. So we're going on to the tennis court. And all of a sudden we said, okay, well, we saw that you're supposed to play a half court of the tennis court. So we decided we were going to play, playing over the tennis net. But let me tell you, we had no concept of how the game was played. This guy is walking by in the DOD, and he decides, he hears the clack, clack of the noise, comes over to us, and he goes, excuse me. Now, mind you, I was all at the net. I was all over the net, killing my husband with them shots, smash shots, bang, bang, bang. And I'm like...
Sorry, Mr. Kevin. Sorry.
So we got videos of us playing, right? So the guy goes, excuse me, are you guys playing pickleball? Me all knowing, not knowing anything? I said, yes. He said, well, you're playing it wrong. So he was like, well, why don't I invite you guys to the senior center in Omaha and let you guys see how it's played? And I said to my husband right then and I said, senior? I was like, senior? Who's going to a senior citizen place to see this game played? But lo and behold, he invited us out, and I remember he invited us out, and we went to watch them play. And when we walked in, it was a lot of seniors. Like, it was like everybody in there was basically like over 50 or maybe over 55. They were pretty much up there. So we're sitting down, we're watching, and they're playing, and we're like, wow, they're really good. They were really good seniors. So we were like, wow, we should try playing. And then the guy looks at us, and I says to him, I says, excuse me, I says, can we play? And he's like, no, you can't play because you have to be over 50 and show ID at the front desk to play the game. And I said, well, we over 50. He's like, really? I said, yeah. So can we play? We get on the court. Let me tell you, they destroyed us. They destroyed us. So that day, and I remember telling my husband, I said, Kevin, I said, you know what? You're off tomorrow. You're off the next day. We're going to go and we're going to learn this game and we're going to play and we're going to figure out how to do this thinking. We're going to think for like hours on end and we're going to play. And for the next 2 days, I think we went out for like 4 hours each day. So that Friday, when they came back, they said to us, you guys coming down on Friday? I said, yeah, we come down on Friday. So we came back on Friday and I said, can we get on the court? And they was like, sure. Let me tell you, I annihilated those people. They turned to my husband. They said, what went on with your wife? Because she came back a whole different player. He said, my wife doesn't take too kind to getting beaten a sport she doesn't know anything about. They said, well, get her out of here. She needs to go to another club. He said, get her with those other people. But we came back and we enjoyed them because they actually was the ones that first showed us, we watched the game, how they were playing it. We sat and watched them. And then we found another club that was in Omaha that had a big pickleball club. Mm-hmm. And they would situate you with your level, your skill level. We didn't know nothing about what skill level was.
Yeah.
We just got in there and then we were going there every day to the park where they were at. They had courts that were installed down there while we were down there. They were being changed into dedicated courts. So we joined the pickleball club down over there and we really learned a lot from that club, watching people play, the style of play. And it just came all together, it came together. And then I think about maybe I was playing probably for about maybe 2 months maybe. And then I got asked to play a tournament. And I said, no, I really don't want to play a tournament. I really got into the sport for recreational purposes coming from a professional sport. Yeah. And my husband's like, go ahead. And I'm looking at him like, I got into this to play recreational. So the girl who asked me, she's like, well, they're going to play the Iowa Senior Games. And she said, would you like to partner? I was like, I don't think I'm that good enough to partner. She said, no, really, you can play it. So anyway, I took her up on the idea of playing it. Me and my husband did the mixed doubles. I did the women's singles and the women's doubles with her. And I actually came home with 3 medals that day. So, yeah, I guess I was good. Yeah.
That's what I'm telling you.
The eye-hand coordination came into play, but them girls were scared to death for that overhand smash.
I'm telling you, I was before we got on this, I was telling Antonio about that overhand. All right, go ahead, Coach.
Making it rain. Hey, so, man, that's pretty amazing. I think we all have a similar story about the senior baptism. My first time playing, and I got baptized by a few seniors, and, man, it crushed my soul. So I did the same thing you did, man. I went and practiced by myself, upset, angry. And I'm like, you know what? When I go back, I'll be a problem. And I've been a problem ever since. So
all right, Antonio, I hear you. Okay.
Yeah, man. I've been a problem. I've been a problem ever since, man. But let me ask you this. So 3 medals. What were those 3 medals?
I had the gold in women's singles, who I defeated the partner who I was playing with in women's doubles. We had the gold in the women's doubles, and then I had the silver in the mixed doubles. And the reason being why we had silver was because we were playing 3-5 at the time when we first started. We were playing 3-5, me and my husband, and my partner was 3-5, but her husband was a 5-0, and he played in the mixed doubles with her in the 3-5, and so we lost by 1 point.
Sandbag.
And everybody was mad. Everybody was mad because they said he should have never been playing in that. Otherwise, we'd have had the gold across the board.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you learned.
So what happened was he saw you play earlier. So what happened was he saw you play earlier. It's like, nah, I need to go ahead and help my wife out.
Right on.
Yeah, and he was the director, so he could put himself in anytime he wanted to. But the crowd was like, the crowd was rooting for me and Kevin. The crowd was rooting for me and Kevin. They was like, come on, take them. And we was like, I said, the only reason y'all won was because your husband was 5-0. But guess what? Y'all got this one.
Hey,
we'll be back. Yeah, we'll be back.
Hey, respect that. So, after doing some research, I believe it was the first year. So that's 3 out of the 100, right? You said you made a personal goal.
That wasn't even the year of the 100 medals. The year of the 100 medals came from January 19th to January 20th. I mean, January 19th to January of 20. So it was the 2019 to 2020.
So tell us a little bit about that. 100, because most people don't understand, like, on average, I'm just throwing a number out. On average, most people may get 10 medals in a year. Maybe, depending on how many tournaments, if they play a ton, maybe 20, 30. It just all depends.
Yeah.
But you said you got 100 medals in 1 year. How many tournaments was that?
I think I played about 32, maybe 32 to 34 tournaments that year.
I help you out. I think it was 36 to 40 tournaments, which is amazing to leave 36 tournaments in 1 year with 100 medals. So go ahead.
Yeah, I think it was around in the 30 something. I thought I recorded maybe 34, maybe. I know it was a lot. Because I was gone almost every week. I was gone almost every month. My house may have seen me maybe 6 or 7 weeks out the year.
Wow.
There's 52 weeks in a year. So, okay, so what happened was somebody had given my husband an incentive, said, oh, I'm going to do this incentive, give your wife an incentive. If she plays tournaments and she can make 100 medals in a year, XYZ, we made a contractual agreement. So in that contractual agreement, he said that if I did 100 medals in a year, I would get a certain amount of XYZ for the gold, the silver, the bronze medals. And I said, well, what would you want in return? Now, at the time that he told me that, mind you, I had already played the U.S. Open of pickleball. I had already played the Nationals, and I had played the I believe it was the Senior Nationals was the last one. But anyway, I know I had 2 of the big medals. So he said, well, what I want if you don't make it is I want the 2 medals. And I said, well, what 2 medals do you want? He said, I want your Nationals medal and I want your U.S. Open medal.
Wow. And
I said to myself, well, those are 2 tournaments that's really hard to accomplish, because not only is it just a set amount of people, but there's a lot of people involved in those tournaments. So you have to really work, because it's not like you're going to get 10 in the bracket here or 10 in the bracket there. You're getting like 20, 30, 40 people in the bracket here and there. And then you're getting people from all over the country, not just the States. So I said to my husband, I said, you know what? I'll take that challenge. So he said, well, I don't think she can do it. My husband said, don't ever put anything past my wife when she accomplishes or when she gets good at something. Don't ever put anything against them. So anyway, started in January 2019. I believe I had ended in January of 2020. I was at number 98, I believe, in Key West. Yeah. I think Key West was my number 98th medal.
Yeah.
No, yeah, 98th medal was Key West.
You need 2 more.
And I had needed 2 more, and I think I had 1 more tournament that was left to get either 1 or 2 more tournaments that was left to get to January 31st. Mm-hmm. So I believe that the next week or so, I believe it was Tustin. I believe I was in Tustin, California at the time, and I said to myself, I need 2 more medals to accomplish this, and I only got 2 more tournaments to do it. So we went to Tustin, California, and I remember getting to Tustin, and I said to myself, yo, you got 2 more medals to win this challenge. So we get to Tustin, and the weather was perfect. Get there, and I was focused. I was like, okay, let me do this. So me and my partner, we played the women's doubles first, and I remember we played the women's doubles in Tustin, and we won the gold medal. So I said, okay, number 99, 1 more to go. And I was in only 2 events at this time. Now, every other tournament I had played singles, women's doubles, mixed doubles. So I had a chance for 3 medals each tournament that I played. So it was 1 more medal to get that day. And let me tell you what a struggle it was. It was a struggle because my partner wasn't feeling too well in the mixed doubles. So I was like, okay, now we got to work for this medal. It was really hot. And I love the sun. I could stay in the sun all day and play. In handball, I played like 10 hours a day in handball. So staying in the sun for 5 or 6 hours in pickleball is easy for me. So we get there and I make it. And finally, they put me on the podium and the director announces she made the 100th medal. It was nice. It was very, very nice. And I felt special that day. So the next day, next day when my husband said, okay, she did it. I was like, all right, now let's get this popping because, you don't get nothing from me, but now let's sign off.
Yes. So, that is an amazing, amazing accomplishment. And like 100 medals, 36 to 40 tournaments. Something that stands out to me that I want you to talk about is the grind. The wear and tear of the travel. Like, how does that impact the play? Like you said, you may have been home just a couple of weeks and slept in your own bed just a couple of weeks of that year. I've never been in a situation where I've traveled to play sports all throughout a year. Right. And I just wonder how much of that grind takes an impact on your body and your performance while playing.
Okay, so first of all, I have to really say thank you to the pickleball community. For a lot of people that have helped me out along the way, as far as like housing or taking me out to eat or, like they looked out for me when I was gone. Because my husband, he was deployed at the time, I believe when he was deployed, we had went to a pickleball vacation in Jamaica. And when he was getting deployed, they said, well, in this community, we look out for everybody. So anyway, It took a lot of grind, but I'm gonna tell you why I loved it, because I got to meet a lot of people. I got to learn a lot of things. I got to know more about the game and the places that I stayed and visited. I mean, like in handball, it was like, okay, you just go, you come back, you don't do anything, you don't go out and eat. If you're not part of the clique, you don't do that. You don't get invited to do this, to do that, whatever. But in pickleball, what I loved about it was the camaraderie. I love the fact that people communicate, that you go out and eat afterwards, or you go have a nice time, be a sociable.
Yeah.
It's a sociable sport. And I realized that the community was really close knit. So a lot of people, they would help me out. So the grind of it all basically was, okay, so trying to get from here to there. I flew a lot. I flew basically everywhere. Like every state, I literally flew. The states that I could get to was easy, which ones the ones that was able to be driven to. So the grind of it all was, I felt fine. Like you said, having to sleep in my own bed was one luxury that I really missed.
Yeah.
You know, you can go and you can be comfortable wherever you at, but it's no place like sleeping in your own bed.
Right on.
Yeah.
So some places I would just go like 1 week to the next week. So let's say I had a tournament on one weekend and I stayed 6 days. I know the next tournament was the next weekend. I would just go straight into that tournament. And I would be away again for like 2 weeks, and then maybe a break in a week, and then go back again another week into another 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so the grind of it all was just trying to stay focused. And I'm pretty conditioned from handball. I don't exercise. I don't exercise. Don't ask me. I don't do that. My exercise comes from the sport that I play. That's it. I'm very
and a little bit of swing dancing too. Now I know you do a little swing dancing
because I like to dance. Yes.
Right on.
But as far as like, I don't do no special regimens. I don't. When I teach clinics, I normally just tell people. I normally warm them up like 5 to 10 minutes before they start. But as far as like doing eating any special diet, no, I don't. The grind of it all, it didn't affect my body. In handball, I never got any aches and pains, no soreness, none. Thank God for that, because it carried over into pickleball where I don't have any issues. I got proper rest. I only sleep, and as a kid, I've only slept for 5 hours a day. I still only sleep 5 hours a day. That's just the way I am. I guess my mom used to always say, "Oh, she's the hyper child. She's the one that's always up and about," because I feel like if I get up early enough, I'll get a lot done in a day, and then I have a lot of playtime. You know, and then I also feel like I'm missing something if I sleep a lot. And I've never been a sleep a lot type person. So I get up and I go and I'm ready to play pickleball at a drop of a dime. You say pickleball, I drop everything and just play pickleball. So that year, it didn't bother me to do anything. I wasn't sore or anything. I would get back up, bounce, boom, be gone again. My husband was very supportive of me going. He was very supportive, as was a lot of people. So that was a blessing right there.
That is as much as you're gone competing, you need that support from the person that's closest to you to be able to do that.
Yes, and so he supported me a lot. The people, when I stayed with them and they housed me, they supported me. They come and watch the tournament. They come and cheer me on. So you got that backing.
Yes.
That pushes you and motivates you. And then I would go to tournaments, and then like people that was on the sidelines, they'd be like, "Go, yo, you can do it." So it was like a push. And then when you stay focused about something, or when you're athlete, let me put that word out there. When you're a competitive athlete, not just an athlete, but a competitive athlete, there's a difference.
Right on.
Some people, they can just get out there to play the game as an athlete, and you're competitive, and you've been in a professional sport. You grind.
Yes.
You grind. Other people will say, and I really honestly hate when people say, "I'm just going to play this tournament to have fun." You don't pay to travel to have fun, like the fun you're having in a rec game. You can have fun in a rec game for free.
Right.
But when you pay to go, or someone is sponsoring you to play, there's an obligation that you have, not only to that person that's sponsoring you, you have an obligation to yourself to bring out the best in you. And so most people don't get that. I'm a very intense player. This I get. I've gotten that, and I'm a very intense player. And I love the fact that I'm not going to change that I'm an intense player. I'm just going to try to make people be better than they can be when they're playing with me. So, in all honesty, my grind, I feed off my grind. I try to be the best that I can be when I'm playing this game. And I try to give the best that I can give in anything that I do. So with the grind, like I said, it's the people that are backing you. And confidence is everything. You have to be confident, not only in your game and in yourself. You have to be confident in the person who you're playing with.
Right on.
Yes. So if I have more confidence in you than you have in yourself, we are already defeated. because my confidence level in me is 100%. That means I have to have confidence in you at 100%.
Yes.
And you have to trust me.
Right on.
So a lot of people don't get that. They're like, oh, I just want to have fun. Let me tell you, you can win and have fun at the
Have
same
fun.
Same time.
Amen.
You can
Ain't no fun in
the
losing to me. I don't
Not
have
at
fun
all.
losing.
Exactly.
Not at all.
No, and that concept about when people ask, well, did you have fun? I came here to win.
That's
Right.
it. That's it.
That's it.
But at the end of the day, all is said, we all get together and we have fun, and the day is done. That's it.
Yeah.
But as a sponsor, and also I want to say, as a sponsored player, which I still am, as a sponsored player, you have an obligation to represent that company that sponsors you. So it's not like, okay, we're just gonna go out here and you're just gonna say, well, I just want to have fun. I'm grinding. You gotta grind with me.
Yes, it's performance based.
You gotta know how to shake and bake with me. And I know I'm a very intense player, but honestly, if I had to tell you, out of 100 partners that I've played with,
wow,
out of 196 of them were blind dates.
Hey.
And I can tell you that if you were to question some of those players that were blind dates, they would tell you Yo-Yo is intense, but that girl, she grinds and she wants to win. And I've been on the medal stand plenty of times. Plenty of times I'm on the medal stand. So it's not just an obligation to myself, it's an obligation to who I'm representing.
Yes.
Right on.
And giving it my all, because I have to dig. If I dug deep in handball, I got to dig deeper in pickleball.
You're a competitor. I
love
that about you.
I'm an athlete. I'm an athletic competitor, and I'm a professional from another sport, and I know what it is to grind and be at the top of your game.
I gotta get a shirt with that, man.
Yeah, and when you talk about grinding, something else. So how did I even find out about Yolanda Yo-Yo Monroe? Was I'm at my park, my local pickleball community one day, and I always ask people because there's not a lot of representation, minority representation. So I always just randomly ask people, do y'all know of other Black people, minorities that play a game? So Maggie, which I've introduced you to Maggie when you came down there, said, hey, is this Black lady that I follow on social media? And her name is Yo-Yo. And she travels every weekend to these pickleball tournaments and she documents everything. So you can go to her Facebook pages and she tells you from the time she landed in the state until the time that she left. And I started doing it, but I'm ADHD, so I can't do all that reading. But that's another part of the grind, not only traveling, not only playing, but blogging and documenting. Yeah. Tell me how just building your social media platform has helped you in your pickleball journey.
You know what I like about it? The fact that I like the people that are following me. I get that. But here's what I like. I like when they comment on the story. And this is the one thing that I like about them. They'll say, you know what, Yo-Yo, thank you for sharing your journey. Because everybody can't travel.
Right.
So they live their life through my stories. Yeah. So if I'm playing pickleball and you can't get that, I have to involve you. It's just like reading a book. You have to put your imagination into what's going on at that particular scene at that particular time. So my journey involves them in my journey. Yeah. And that's what I like about blogging with the people, because they give me feedback. And so I like to hear them when they say, you know what, Yo-Yo, thank you for that story. So
yeah. No, I like that, and I follow you too, like it's so cool to follow you because I live through you as well. And I got a question for you though. Okay. You mentioned the blind date, right? So it's a Facebook group. I think it's like players looking for players for tournaments or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I always see where, again, I'm following you, dude. So I see when you're traveling and you'll put a post like, hey, I'm looking for a partner for this division or whatever the case may be. I'm quite sure people know Yo-Yo, and you may have like 4 or 5 people reach out. How do you determine who gets that date?
Antonio, you put me in the fire on that one. But let me tell you. Quick, seriously. So okay, so I'll get feedback from people. And I always tell them, I says, contact me. Now, I've read other people, how they try to decipher how they try to pick their partners. I know that, and let me just give a shout out really quickly because I forgot. Let me give a shout out to Onyx because that was my first sponsor, Onyx. And I remember when I was playing with blind dates, and I remember Byron Frezzo, who actually sponsored me, who got me sponsored through Onyx, because he did a match in Arizona that was amazing for us. I'll tell you about that later. But when he brought me on board and I started going with these blind dates, he said, Yo-Yo, will you please find somebody who is compatible to you and can complement your game. He said, because these people you up here, he said, would you please try to find somebody who's on your level to play? Because I bought a lot of blind dates along the line. But then that's what you work with, right? If people don't step up to the plate, what are you supposed to do? Not want to play. You're not supposed to want to play. So you work with what you got, right?
Right.
You know, you work with what you got. But the blind dates and how I picked them, as Antonio had asked me, this is how. So I'll get maybe, let's say, okay, I advertise and I say, I need a mixed partner, or I need a female doubles partner. And they'll text me, and let me tell you, I can give y'all some stories behind people that's trying to play with me. You know, I can give y'all some stories. I mean, hey, their story is their story. My story is mine. But in all fairness, seriously, I get about 5 people that may have contacted me. And I'll go through the 5 people and I'll say, you know what? I saw how that person play. I know what this person is about. I know what that attitude is over there. I know if this person is going to practice and give it all that they have. Because in practice, I like to see how we compare with each other on the court. How much we gel. And I would often tell people, well, listen, maybe not now, not right now. And then they would get mad. But you know what? I can't control what you get mad over. But that's my choice. Yes. It is a choice that I have to make, because I feel like if I'm going to have to put in 97% of work on the court and you're only putting in 3%, well, then that defeats my purpose. I might as well play singles. Right?
I agree. I agree.
So, and I remember, and I'm going to give y'all 2 short stories of blind. I'm going to give y'all 2 short stories, not of people who have even played, but some of the stories that I get when they're trying to figure out if I'm going to partner with them or not. So I had this one lady that was constantly asking me all the time. And I said to myself, well, I saw her play. Wasn't impressed with the game, but I saw her play. And she gave me all the scenario about her background. And when she gave me the background, I was like, well, that's irrelevant to what pickleball is. None of that factors into pickleball. So anyway, make a long story short, she got tired of asking me, and she said, well, I'm not going to ask you anymore. I said, well, I told you the second time you asked me that I wasn't going to play with you. So I would have stopped at number 2. So she said, well, I'm not going to ask you no more. So she got very indignant. And I said, you know what? It's all good. No worries. You know, she's going to be my footstool. God to take care of it. I'm not worried about that. And then one guy, I remember when I was playing and I had gotten really good, and I was on and he said, well, would you play me? And I said, well, why would I play? He said, well, I know I'm just a beginner. I said, stop. I said, right there, that word. And if you're at 4.0 and you're playing with a beginner, you really don't want to go in the tournament with that. So I remember him getting mad, but you know, we became really good friends in the end. We became really good friends to this day. And he said, yo, you know, you really crushed my heart when you said that. I said, but your word really crushed my heart when you said beginner and asked him to play in a 4.0 tournament with me. But we become really good friends. And he tells the story all the time. So I'm sure he's laughing right now. But overall, picking blind dates, I'm very big on blind dates. I'm big on picking partners because my criteria is, I don't set high standards. Like I see some people post stuff and they put really high standards. I'll give a person a chance. If I know that they're giving it their all, I'll give a person a chance if they give their all and they're playing their hardest. And I like to practice. I'm big on practice. I'm so big on practicing because practice tells me what I have to fill in the gaps, where I have to fill in the gaps. If you can't run, I know I got to run. If you can't go for a lob, I know I got to get that lob. Right if you can't hit a shot and put away a shot, if you're going to be a setter for me and you're going to do the exclamation and open it up for me to go for a kill shot, I know what I'm working with at practice. Right. So my biggest pet peeve is, and I always tell people, if I pick you as a partner, are you dedicated to practicing with me? Because I'll go a few days before just to practice with that person.
Right on.
So if you tell me I can't make practice, but let me understand and let me make this clear. If you tell me you can't practice with me and I'm willing to fly where you are and you're already living there.
Right.
And I can make the time to come and practice and you can't make the time and you're already there. That doesn't sit good with me because I'm already flying all the way to you. So I try to pick partners that when they get to the questions that are answered, like what level are you? Are you aggressive? Are you passive? Are you afraid? Are you fearful? Are you afraid of the ball? Can you move? Tell me what you can do, your agility. And
there's a whole screening
and,
process.
Wait, and this one, am I too intense for you? Am I too intense?
Hey,
Yeah.
there's a whole screening process. Check it out.
Now, in the beginning, I never did that, but then Onyx had told me Byron was like, yo, please pick your partner, please, if you need help. And I went a very long time picking partners that were not compatible with me. And then, I mean, I've given a lot of people, and let me tell you, some of those people that I played blind dates with, they rose to the occasion, and we meddled, and they were very happy. And although they said, you know what, yo, I get you, and I would love to play again. And you know what, they get me because they know that I'm not in this for just me. There's no me and team. There's not me. It's us together.
It's us. Right.
If you lose, I lose. If I win, you win. So it's not like I'm just telling you to get me better. I'm trying to tell you so that we get better together.
Yeah.
And a lot of the women will tell you, listen, yo, she's not, and I always tell people, I'm not that ballerina coach. Don't expect that because you're never going to get that from me. I'm not the ballerina coach. I'm the football coach.
Yes, sir.
Get up there. Let's do this. Let's get this. Let's win this. So, I don't mean any harm when I say it, but that's how I talk. I'm sorry.
Coach is really interested in this question I'm about to present to you. For younger people who understand that they may have a certain talent that can take them certain places in pickleball, how do they get opportunities and sponsorship like you got with Onyx and Adidas?
That's a good question. But I'm gonna tell people like this. Okay, how I got sponsored with Onyx was, I didn't stay and play local in my state. I didn't stay in my local area. I wasn't one of those people that said, I feel comfortable here, so this is where I'm going to stay.
Yeah.
No, I got outside of the walls and I took a chance of going places. And in order for you to see that, you have to be where they are.
Right on.
Because they're not gonna be here, they're gonna be everywhere. So you have to go out of that comfortable zone that you're in and find where you need to be. Because if you're only staying local, guess what? You're missing opportunities. I'm not a person that misses opportunities. I take opportunities. And I'm not afraid to travel. I'm not afraid to go. I'm not afraid to travel. I'm not afraid to be amongst other people in pickleball. I don't have a comfort zone. You say, yo, listen, want to go to Kansas tomorrow? Hey, if I'm available, I'm packing a bag. I'm on that plane to Kansas.
And she's not lying. She's not lying.
I like it.
Okay, so the opportunity for me came when I was in Arizona, and I remember I went to Chicken and Pickle, and I went to Chicken and Pickle to play on the weekend. My husband's stationed in Nebraska. We went to Chicken and Pickle in Kansas, I believe, or Missouri. One of those. We were in Chicken and Pickle, and I looked on the side, and there was a girl that was playing there, and I said, "Wow, she's good." And I was playing on the other court, and she was like, "Wow, she's good." And there was two guys, and I'll never forget this. There was two guys. And they were running the courts. They were running the court, and it was about maybe 400 people outside. It was hot that day, and she was on the court, and I was on the court. And the guy that owned the facility said, "If there's anybody that can take these two guys off, we'll give them free dinner for that day." So I went to her. She came to me. We met up, and I said, "Hey, listen, why don't we challenge these two guys?" And she said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Let's challenge these guys and get them off the court because they've been holding the court all day." She goes, "You think so?" I said, "I know so. I saw you play. You saw me play. Let's do this." So my husband is over there, and it's about 4 people that we came with. And he's over there, and he's like, "You know what? Go ahead." We get on the court, and I'll never forget these guys. Oh, my gosh. They were so arrogant. Anyway, we get on center court outside, and all these people are around because they're cooking food. The barbecue music is playing. People are having fun, and we're on the court, and it's hot outside. So we get on the court. We introduce ourselves to the guys. They come to the net. They say, hey, okay, so now we're going to really get to see what they made out of. So he said, "Oh, we're playing girls." I'm like, what? I looked at my partner and I said, and I had on a skirt. So I'm thinking immediately, they thinking she got on a skirt. What's she going to do? Yeah. So we get on the court, and the first shot out the bag, I remember that Katie hit that shot, and they said, "Wow." And I said, "Let's bring it to him." So anyway, make a long story short, we beat the crap out of them guys. And my husband reported that game. And I said, "Okay, now I'm going to put it on Facebook because y'all sounded like y'all was really, really like knocking women down about pickleball." So then they was like, "No, congratulations." You know how you normally tap the paddle?
Right. Yeah.
We normally go to the net and we tap the paddle. He said, "No, I don't want you to tap the paddle. I want you to give me a hug." He said, "Because you guys played phenomenal." I was like, "Oh, now you're going to respect us." Humble pie. Humble pie. So anyway, make a long story short, the owner gave us dinner and they gave us a jacket. So that was a story. But how I got sponsored by Onyx was that the same girl who I played with in Chicken and Pickle, Katie, she said, "Do you want to play a tournament in Arizona?" And we got together to play a tournament in Arizona. So Byron was our referee for this final match that we were playing. And I remember that, oh my gosh, he stood there. And let me tell you, the girls that put us on the bottom, we told them we was going to see them again in the finals. So we got to the finals, and I remember they had us down in the game 10-0. And I said to Katie, I said, we had just got the ball back, and I said to Katie, I said, "You want to do me a favor? Let's take this game." I said, I walked to the fence. I took my earrings off. Don't ask me why I took my earrings off. I just walked to the
going
fence.
down.
It's just
going down.
It's just
It's
got
going
real.
down.
I took my earrings off, and I said to her, I said, "You know what? Stand back. We about to peel it off. We about to peel off these 10 points." And we were down to, and we peeled off. It was 10 smash points. Them girls would not come to that net when I smashed that ball.
I know.
They said, and we were up. We got to 10-10, and then we got to 10-12, and we ended up winning that game. And I remember Byron said after that game, Byron said, "I want to sponsor you, and I want to sponsor you."
Unbelievable.
He said to me and my partner, and I said to him, "I don't think so." He said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "No." He said, "Well, give it 2 weeks. Think about it." And I said, "Okay, I'll think about it." But I was glad that I did, because it was a great opportunity for me, and it opened a lot of doors. So I'm grateful for that. But yeah, but them, I'm telling you, but all in all, with the sponsor and the blind dates, it all worked out. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it don't. But if you realize that you have a blind date, and you realize that blind date is not up to par, you have to work hard. You have to grind to try to get yourself into the game. Because a lot of the times, if they see the weaker player, they're going to the weaker player. So you have to put yourself into that game. They'll isolate you. You have to put yourself into that game. So sometimes it takes for you to play a singles game to get yourself into that game, to move around. So I try to work with what I got, and I'm grateful for the ones that, that give it their all. I'm grateful for them. But the ones that sit back and become scared, it makes a lot of more work for me.
Well, we've been on, and this has been a wonderful podcast. We're blessed. We're privileged to have the opportunity to talk to you, to learn from you. One of the gems that you just dropped in the last 3 minutes that I'm taking to my life personally was get outside your comfort zone. And that really is something that is relevant in my life right now, and some decisions that I have to make. But if you want to reach these goals, you want to be the best you can be and be as big as you can be, you got to step outside your comfort zone. You got to get outside of your community, and you have to soar. So I personally want to tell you, thank you for just dropping that on me. I learned a lot about this conversation. I learned a lot about you on this podcast, outside of this podcast. You know how I feel about you. You're my big sister. You're my family. I love you to death. But just giving Coach an opportunity to get a chance to see who you really are, and outside of social media. And I can't wait for him to get an opportunity to be around you and share a court with you, and just get to experience that. Go ahead, Coach.
Hey, I just want to let you know, man, you're amazing. You probably hear this all the time, and we see the confidence, so you know this. But I think it's pretty awesome for us to be able to get this down on video, so that others behind you can see it. You know what I mean? Like, you just literally gave us a blueprint. Like for real though, for people that look like us, man. Like, you know, I always say that you got to think about it like this. You had like a Jackie Robinson that had to go through the color barrier and whatnot.
Yes.
And it took forever for us to get into those sports. Dude, pickleball been around since 65, but right now it's really like trending up. And look, dude, we got our own platform. Like, dude, like, this is phenomenal. So for people like you, these are your flowers. We just want to thank you for blessing us with this time, and just keep doing amazing stuff. I'm here. I'm following forever. I know that the criteria.
I'm gonna get with you, Antonio. I'm gonna get with you. Trust me. But I just want to say one thing. I want to say that when you see somebody in your culture that represents and paves the way and makes a way for us, it's easier for you to adapt more to going and trusting than it is when you don't have anybody that can pave that way. So for me to be there, and I've gone to a lot of tournaments where I was the only one of us, but I played the game like I wasn't the only one of us. You understand?
Absolutely.
So for me, I love the fact that I try to go to give different clinics and try to tell people, listen, it's a blessing for you to be at these places. So what if you don't look at that? Look at the game.
Right on.
Bring the game. Okay,
Yes.
so don't hide shy or be afraid to go to these places, because I've been to like 48 states literally to play this game. So I can tell you that I'm good. I mean, the community of pickleball is amazing.
Yeah,
It's
it
amazing.
is.
You know, you pick who you want. It's like food. You pick what you like, and you take that. And if you don't like
Right
it, you
on.
leave it alone.
You leave it alone.
Right on.
But in the same instance, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad you guys had me as your guest today, and I hope that somebody has taken something from this podcast that's positive for them. Because me, I'm always going to be positive about pickleball. So and make sure, Antonio, that you at that Juneteenth next year in 2024.
Oh, I'm all right.
Go to
Hey,
finish at him, yo.
hey,
Because you missed a great thing.
hey.
Yes.
You know, I had a Juneteenth tournament here, but the second annual that I'm doing here, I'm moving it a week forward so I could be there
Okay.
this year.
All right, yeah, because you missed a great thing.
I know. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. I saw the pictures.
Des did a good thing. He did a good thing.
Hey, yo.
Yeah.
We Pickle 2 is in effect. We Pickle 2 is something myself, Yo, Pickleball Harry, and it was just a group of minorities want to make it publicly known that we also play pickleball as well.
Yes.
Me and Antonio are working on some things behind the scenes to grow minority pickleball that we're definitely going to bring you in on. You know how me and you
Yes.
do. So
If I can do anything to help, let me know. I'm here.
again, we're working, man. It's we pickle Charleston, Des Brown, the original Geechee Gala pickleballer, my boy, Dad Pickleball, Coach Antonio Pullen, and my big sis Yolanda, yo, Monroe. Again, check us out on our next episode. We out, ya. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.